What is going on, guys? RangoVidsMangler12 here, and in front of your faces we have Silk issue 2. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what issue 2 brings, considering how good issue 1 was. Like, it was really good for like the first issue for Silk, so let's see what issue 2 brings. I've got to say that I'm not exactly a huge fan of the art in this issue for some reason. I can't remember whether it's the same as issue 1, but for some reason, when I read this issue, I just wasn't feeling the art. I feel like it brought down the comic a little bit, but I'll talk about that later. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so kicking off this issue, we jump into the sewers with Silk, and she's still adjusting to normal life, as you can see, especially from the Spider-Verse. Now, I don't know about you guys, but do you think that this is a little reference to Superior Spider-Man Dr. Octopus, especially because of Spider-Verse and Superior Spider-Man no longer being here? I mean, do you think that Silk's second issue is like a little reference to Dr. Octopus right here? I don't know about you guys, but this just screams Superior Spider-Man to me, so yeah, let me know in the comments below about that. Maybe the writers weren't entirely going for that, but I'm going to take it as a reference, so yeah. One of the negatives I've got to say about this issue, though, is she keeps reintroducing herself. Like, we've known about her since, like, the Amazing Spider-Man issue 4 or something like that. We've known who she is for the past 10 issues of The Amazing Spider-Man. We saw her in the Spider-Verse. We know who she is for definite. So I kind of feel like it's copying a little bit of the, you know, CW's The Flash or Arrow TV series, where they always tell us who they are at the beginning of the episode or something like that. It kind of feels like that, but regardless, this issue still has a bunch of awesome stuff about it, especially the story behind it. As you can see on screen right now, Silk is trying to track down her well, I don't know whether they're missing, but her parents that have disappeared. They're nowhere to be found. We don't know whether they're dead or alive or what, but it seems like there's something really fishy going on with them, because they have always paid their money in cash. There's no credit card records. Nobody knows where they've lived. They've only stored something in a storage unit for a month, and then it randomly disappeared. So in my opinion, it sounds like something that S.H.I.E.L.D. would do, but I know in this universe, they don't get as involved as what they do in the Ultimate Universe, so I can't imagine it being S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, obviously it does seem that bigger forces are at hand here, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But as you can see on screen, Silk is literally walking through the streets and remembering what her old life was like before she got put in the bunker, and of course before the Spider-Verse and stuff. And we get to see her break up with her boyfriend, and it does kind of seem like he is the love of her life. Like, if she stayed with him, she would marry him. It seemed like that. But anyway, moving on, so a robot jumps out of nowhere screaming "Hail Hydra," and it's really interesting that it says that, especially with all of the Hail Hydra stuff that's going on in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics right now. And what's really interesting is we don't know who those people are that are watching over Silk in her bunker. You know, those random people that are like looking at Silk through a TV screen? That kind of leads me to believe that maybe the people watching over Silk work for Hydra, especially because this robot is screaming "Hail Hydra" out of nowhere. I mean, why would it do that? Just randomly? I don't think so. But anyway, so Silk says that, and she's just like, okay, whatever, we'll just continue with the fight. And the robot actually goes down into the sewers. Now, that's not exactly a good idea, especially because the robot is, like, depicts a kind of octopus. And of course, an octopus's elements are in water, so yeah. Also, not to mention the fact that Silk's spider sense and all her powers are acting a little bit crazy, so for her to go into a confined space in the sewers is a little dangerous for her, especially. But she does this awesome thing where she kind of makes herself bigger, so the robot thinks that it's grabbed her, and then she brings her arms in a bit to make herself smaller, and she just slips through the gap, and that is awesome. Now, quite possibly the most awkward situation you could find yourself in real life is running into like an old boyfriend or something like that, like an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, and she actually climbs out the sewers in her Silk costume, and her old boyfriend Hector, her ex-boyfriend, is stood there, like, out of all places he's there. Now, what you've got to remember is that Silk actually told him that she was going to Oxford, when in reality she was actually going to live in the bunker, so he's a little bit confused as to what's going on, and I kind of feel like that he's maybe going to come back into the comics a little more, especially because he's an ex-boyfriend, so maybe they still have that, you know, that flirtatious relationship a bit. But as you can see, he's now getting married to his fiancée, and that's kind of a little bit heartbreaking. Now guys, in case you missed it back there, the reason why Hector and his fiancée can't tell that Cindy is Silk is because her suit is covered in sewage and you can't really make out what she's wearing. So yeah, but imagine running into your ex-boyfriend after climbing out of the sewers smelling probably like crap, and yeah, being the first time that you've seen him in years, imagine that would be so embarrassing. So as you can see, we're going back to these mysterious figures watching over Silk, and it turns out they were the ones that actually sent the Hail Hydra robot to get a blood sample from Silk. Now, I actually feel like that maybe it is her parents, but maybe her parents sold her out. And what I mean by that is, it sounds like someone came up to him and said, we'll give you like, say, $1 million for you to let us experiment on your daughter, and then they agreed to that, or something along those lines. But as you also know, those two mysterious figures only call her Cindy. They don't say Cindy Moon, so why would you call a girl Cindy if she's some kind of project experimentation type thing, if you're trying to figure out stuff about her? So that kind of leads me to believe that maybe they are her parents as well, because they're on a first name basis. So that's really interesting to know, but maybe I'm just looking into it too far. But what do you guys think is going to happen? Let me know in the comments section below. Do you think that these mysterious figures are completely different characters? Do you think they're working for Hydra? Do you think they're working for S.H.I.E.L.D.? Let me know. And of course, make sure to hit the like button as well. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10. The only thing that brought it down from maybe a 9 out of 10, because I absolutely love the story, but I do not like the art style. I mean, it looks good when she's being Cindy Moon and she's just like being a civilian, but as soon as she becomes Silk, it kind of changes for me. It goes a little bit like anime type thing, and I'm not really into that in comic books, but whatever floats your boat, guys. But yeah, so what did you guys think of this issue? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you go to my Facebook page and hit the like button, because I did actually just preview some other comics recently, especially with Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, so go to the links in the description to see that. And of course, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next video.
Let me hear the fucking